you guys feeling?
Good. I'm fine. I'm sure Matthew is too, but I'm feeling fine. I'm a little anxious, I'm a little nervous around football, but I always am at this time of the week.
How about around showdowns, Ken? They haven't really been yours to win in recent years?
No, they haven't. But you look through the history of the game and what it means. I think it's 28, 27. We've all had our turn at different times, unfortunately, and at this stage we haven't been able to win the last three.
What's the attitude of Ryan Burton?
I think he's a quality player. I think that's one thing for sure and certain, and great flexibility. He allows us some great freedom to do what we want at either end of the ground, which will be, we clearly got some challenges in our front half with a couple of players unavailable, so he gives us some opportunities.
Can you represent your players and your representatives have made things about not making it about the war, the words or anything like that? It's about we've got a bigger picture to focus on. What have you made of a couple of comments of Darcy Quality and Joshua Shelley saying the supporters have no teeth and things like that, and a bit of cherry on top to end your impact your finals?
I think I'm not going to talk about other players. They're there for Matthew to talk around, not for me. But for our focus is clearly on this week and in our season. We need to get ourselves in a position that we can capitalise on the work that we've done this far. So it's a big game for us.
Do you like to build up, Kenny, or that sort of extra spice leading to it?
I don't care. I don't care.
Do you feel like you got the wood over on Matthew at the moment?
We got the wood over Port Adelaide, not at all. No. We've got the last three in a showdown. There's more to footy than just 1 week. However, we are in showdown week, and it's always a big one for this state. Everyone hangs on the result of it, so we'll be doing the same this week. We look forward to showdowns, as I think every club does.
Can that be do with the numbers that keep saying that Adelaide feels the showdown advantage for what they do on the inside? Have you dealt with that one while looking back the last three?
I think if you have to reflect on with honesty, and the reality is some of those things are true and some of the things that we can control, but they don't. We start 0-0 tomorrow night, and as both Matthew and I know with showdowns, we love the involvement, we love the rivalry, but we understand that each time you start, it's an opportunity for each team, and we're looking at it that way, an opportunity to get better.
But is it normally your midfielders, because there's a statement of pride to the ball inside that's been done over?
No, we get disappointed with every average performance probably, and we look to learn from them. That's no different from when we've played the Crows, and we're lucky we get to play them twice a year, that we have to reflect on it each year.
Nixie, why do you think you have had this successful run obviously for the last few years of finishing above you? Why do you think you have been so good in showdowns?
It's interesting because Rooch might be trying to fire up your midfielders, I think. It wasn't necessarily midfield. I think you beat us in that area last time we played. Look, we got some key moments right in the game. We know how crucial those key moments are. We haven't been able to do that across this season, across all games. In the showdowns, when we've met the last few times, we have done that in key moments. And it's the difference, You end up finishing the game off strongly, but we know I got our work cut out. It's definitely not I don't need you firing up the boys in the Port Adelaide midfield. I mean, they're one of the best in the competition. So we know I've got our work cut out for us. We believe that if we play our brand of footy, that it matches up well, but at the same time, you've got to be able to do that. That's a challenge for us.
Was the main finals off the agenda? Obviously Kev's got an eye on finals, but for you guys, how much can you build this up as a bit of the grand final?
For us, it's the same. We go in the same as we did last week. Unfortunately, we're in a position where we're not going to play through September, and that's really disappointing and something that we know we've got to improve on. Now we look at each game as it comes, as we did last week. It's the same focus. We go in with the same mentality. What is it we need to do to beat? With our draw, a very good side. I think our last 4 or 5 this year, have been huge games for us. The Western Bulldogs are in great form. We come in against Port Adelaide, they're in fantastic form, sitting second on the ladder. And then the game after that, we'll travel to Sydney to play the top side. So that's our focus.
Lockie Gillette picked a pretty good week to kick 8 goals last week over the showdown.
He sure did. Lockie's been doing some great stuff throughout the year, and there's always unlucky players that sit in a position where they're not necessarily getting the opportunities of some others. But we love what Lockie brings, and he's played showdowns before and performed well, so we look forward to what he's going to bring again.
Did you bust the beat on Soldo this week?
No.
Was it
No, not really.
sold out already, or?
No, he's only played one game back from a long break, so to be fair to him, give him the opportunity, and equally to be as fair to Jordan. Jordan's played very well, and pretty much owns his spot in the ruck at the moment. So Avon's just building some consistency, but I think Dante Visentini would have been equally as close, and probably closer than Avon at this point, because he's had a really strong season, a bit like Gallant. They've deserved opportunities to play, but we've been in pretty good form.
What about Marshall? Where's that all at? Has he had more tests this week? Or?
Yeah, he's going through all the protocols that you need to go through, and we will, with the greatest of care, make sure that he's looked after really well. And clearly he's got a bit of history, and we need to make sure we investigate that history. So we'll let you know all that stuff, and particularly when we know what the actual outcomes of that are.
And how close was he to getting back up there?
Yeah, pretty close. Pretty close. He frustrated me watching him train. So you're not playing. So yeah, it was really close.
Ken, you captain spoke earlier in the week about almost 6 weeks ago, a bit of a line in the sand when you just dropped out of the eight and questions about where the club was heading for the rest of the year. He spoke about vulnerability and how the group's been really open. How have you seen the group develop through those tough times to get in the position where you're sitting in the top two?
I think they've just done well to hang in there a little bit. I mean, the competition's so even. I mean, we look at the competition every week, and we say it every week. It's so damn hard to win every week, and you've had a time where it hasn't quite worked for us, but we've always been really confident about what our best looks like, and when we play at our best football, we know we can play against any team in the competition and be successful. So you just got to remain confident about what you do, and you've also got to remain accurate with what you review and make sure you look to improve. And I think that's where the vulnerability comes from, is that you've got to be prepared to be accurate.
I know you have conversations with all your players all the time, but have you had the chat with Dan Houston about keeping his head in the game, that his desires and where his future sits, but also making sure his focus is on the present?
Don't need to.
Speaking of that, can you, Ms. Clarkson, he said that he became a wise.
Oh, would he? Tiger. He was keen on Chad once too.
How does that sit with you? And do you think coaches should be talking that?
Oh, look, I think we're better than that now. I think it's okay. That's footy. I mean, the more you people sit there and want all this information and want all the players to speak honestly, and I think it's okay. I don't think there's no secrets in it. I mean, we talk to other players. We try to recruit every year. That's just part of our game now. I'm okay with it. I actually think it's overblown.
How far are we away from, like Melbourne's coming out this week and said Alex Neville wants to trade across to South Australia? How far are we away, do you think, from a more open, honest system like, say, the NRL or overseas competition?
I'll let you go.
You're probably asking the wrong person. I think Ken's answered that question. I think we all know there are discussions that happen, and we're all about trying to improve. If you're not doing that, you're not doing your job. I don't know whether it becomes public or whether it should do, and whether we follow the US with some of this stuff, but I think it's just, we'll continue to work on being better.
If we're being open, Ken, would you be in the Jack with coaches conversation as well?
We'd be in the conversation of improving our list. I mean, you don't really expect me to sit here and say, yeah, we've talked to Jack, or we won't talk to Jack. You'd expect he's a South Australian person. If he becomes available, we would talk to every available South Australian talent that's wanting to return home, as the same as we face when Victorian boys or interstate boys look to go home. We face the same challenges, but we'd be silly if we weren't.
The South Australian talent that does want to return home is Alex Neville. Have you guys had conversations with him yet?
Thought we meant about him.
After what we just talked through then, it's one of those ones where we are continually trying to improve.
Do you think
We've had conversations with a number of different people around the industry, staff, players, about how we get better.
You haven't made the finals, or won't make the finals this year, Matt, but do you think the side is a better version than this one last year?
Yeah, I think we've obviously improved in a lot of areas. We need a lot more improvement in some key areas. And one of those I mentioned earlier was key moments in games. When you're losing games by a kick or two, as we've talked through here, the competition is so even. You've got to pick up those games. You've got to take the 4 points when you can get them, and when you don't, momentum can go against you. And we've had a frustrating year, both for what we're going through and our members and supporters. But to answer your question, yeah, I feel we're in a much better position.
Ken, what does the showdown do to prepare you for finals?
Oh, it's great preparation, because we know the build-up is is big, and we understand there's a little bit more on it based on the rivalry, which we both, we all love being a part of. It's a great rivalry. It's, I've said it before and been here a long time now that I think it's as good a rivalry as there is in the game. So the stakes go up. That the anxiety probably goes up a little bit more for players when they're out there performing, but that's just good preparation. But we're only preparing for this game, and then we'll worry about the next challenge. But we've had a really good, challenging stretch of games that has put us in a pretty healthy position to take care of tomorrow night, we hope.
Nixie, where do you sit on your players poking the bear? Are you comfortable with Josh's comments yesterday, or would you rather he keep them to himself?
I think it's been shown that the result really comes off the way you perform once you cross the white line. There's always a lot of theatre around Showdown, but ultimately it's the team that comes and turns up on the night.
Yeah, but did
Gets it
Josh
done.
cross the line? I mean, we're used to the Fogarty one. Jack Thorns did it to Adelaide for years, but did Josh cross the line by targeting fans?
I think we can have an atmosphere at the stadium because I've been within the four walls of Port Adelaide for 8 years, and I know how passionate their fans are, and it's going to be a cracking atmosphere. And maybe that's off the back of some comments. That's what Showdown's about, is making that atmosphere the right one.
But is it the right thing to do to target fans? We've never had that before. We've had the rivalry between the clubs be based on the attitudes or history, but never.
I don't think there's an intent to target fans, and I think with our guys that do media nowadays, they spend 20 minutes in a studio having a chat about a number of different things, and some things can be targeted and taken out of context, as you guys in the room all know.
But you said it twice, so it's hardly out of context when you say it twice.
No. And as we said, it'll come down to who performs on the night once we cross that white line.
You talk about that. You talk about that performance. What does Josh need to do now then to back that up on the field?
Like all of us, there's going to be moments in the game where you're going to have to put your head over it. There's going to be moments where we need you to get the job done, and that's been something we've worked on right throughout the year. So I mentioned we did it last few times we've played Showdowns. We've been able to get those moments right. That'll be the key to this one.
This is the third straight season where you found a bit of form in the back end of the year. Is there all above the shoulders for your group? You're thinking after that season, towards 2025 and where you want to go, but I guess that's a concerning trend that you find form later in the year and not earlier.
That we're finishing a year off strong.
Yeah, but and not starting the season strong enough, perhaps.
I think we've definitely got to work on our starts. Puts us behind the 8 ball a little. I quite enjoy the fact that we finish strong. I think it shows we do the work, and that when it gets tough and you've got to grind, we're in. I mean, last year we're fighting for finals and performing really well through that back stretch. So I'm not quite sure what angle you're coming from, but
when the expectations off, when the pressure's off, that's when you guys more often and more consistently in terms of results.
Expectation last year wasn't off. We were playing for finals last year. So I think
you came late last year as well.
We want to perform well. Come towards the end of the season, we got some work to do on the start. I think is probably the issue we want to fix up.
Can you answer the challenge to get more goals out of your players when we're getting got George Jones and got Marshall? You've got a different sort of attack. Who answers that challenge for you?
Yeah, well, we have to makeshift a little bit, but the reality is we've still got most of the team out there. Last week, we didn't score well against a really dour Melbourne team who were great at restricting you. And I think we've been able to show not that long back that we can score, and we can score pretty quickly if we have to, and we get those opportunities. But look, we're about the collective group being able to put some pressure on the scoreboard. It's not one or two players that do it for us alone. We need to make sure it's a shared role, and we've pretty much done that most of the year. We've been pretty consistent around our scoring. I think we're somewhere around 90 odd points or something thereabouts. Scoring.
Does Charlie Dixon know Mark King one then, given that he's had the better
we collectively owe the Crows 3 in the last 3. That's just the way it is. You can always reflect on the last one. I'm sure there's been some rippers that Charlie's probably delivered in Showdowns as well. But yeah, Mark's done very well on Charlie the last couple of times. I think Charlie's in a really good, healthy position right now. I think he's excited by the opportunity, I'd say.
Last couple of questions, guys. Ken, on Wednesday, kind of sort of touched on it. Obviously, going into Showdowns, these comments are always sort of back and forth. The last couple of times, there's been a lot of occasions. Think of the arrogant and entitled with Tom Jonas, where it seems that Port has dished out a lot, but that's not really been the case this year. Is that a target thing of really making sure that you don't say too much going to each other?
What we understand is that every game sets you up for failure or success in some ways in this game, and you're sitting at that side of the bench, you're pretty quick to jump on whatever that is. Whenever we put some theatre into it, people jump on it. When we get the results that go against you, we cop it. We cop it good.
Is there any good side to it, think you? Is there any good side to it?
Footy's great. Footy's great. Rivalry's great. It's fun. You know, it's meant to be, but it's bloody fierce for us, and we're up there doing everything we can to get a win every week. And regardless of what you think, we're doing our best every week, and whatever comes along with it, pressure does strange things to you at different times.
Do you enjoy just a broader one very quickly? You know, unveil a new logo of the club relatively soon. How exciting is that to have a new brand and it's evident everything looking into the future?
Yeah, I think it's part of where our footy club's at and what's next. Continual improvement, looking at what's part of the future. I'm not sure how official that actually is, or whether that's just rumour out there, but I believe there is something in the works.
Do you have any input, Nixie, in the design?
Very good at graphic design.
I am. Be surprised though, I wasn't involved in that one. No.
Nixie Campo said during the week that if he was in the coach's box, he'd try and get under Zach Butter's skin. Do you have a plan for Zach, and is he the sort of player you can irritate in the showdown?
Yeah, there's too many midfielders we're up against this week to target one.
He doesn't mind spending money.
No, he's a competitor though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Can I talk about design? Is something to be seen tomorrow night when the numbers say you love the corridor and Adelaide loves to work around the boundary here at Adelaide Oval? What's that telling us about how the showdown will play?
One of the two teams will get their way. And that's we don't know. I mean, we play a game style after, what have we played, 21 games or something? That's clear to everyone, not just to the Crows. They've played 21 games, it's just clear to everyone the way they like to play. Well, every week's the same. You get a big arm wrestle. Last week we had exactly that. We had a big arm wrestle with Melbourne, and we had to find a way to win, and we did.
We talk about We talk about the theatre. Do you enjoy doing these together? Because we hadn't had one for a while. I thought they might be done.
No, we love each other, don't we? No, not about love.
We like each other a lot.
I've gone too far.
We actually don't see much of each other these days, so it's actually nice to bump in the hallway and just say g'day, and we won't see each other tomorrow.
No.
We'll
I hope he loses.
avoid each other.
Who's got more teeth?
I am 57. How old are you?
Thanks. 49.
Much more too.
Thank you.
Lay down.